Most websites are just kind of sitting there, right? Like a digital brochure collecting dust. But what if I told you yours could be your most valuable employee? Today, we're going to unpack a really powerful four-step strategy to transform your website from a passive flyer into your absolute best salesperson, one that works 24/7 to bring in amazing, high-quality clients. Okay, first things first, we've got to talk about a huge mindset shift. The old way? Well, that's the digital brochure. It's static, it's passive, it just lists some info and waits. The new way, the one we're going to build together, treats your website like a dynamic digital sales rep. It doesn't just sit there. No, it actively engages people. It starts a real conversation.
So, how are we going to build this thing? Simple. We'll kick things off with its new mission, then we'll dive into the four key steps of that conversation: framing the problem, offering up the solution, building that conviction, and wrapping it all up with a killer call to action. All right, so what is this new mission exactly? It's all about creating what you might call a strategic conversation scenario. Now, that sounds a little fancy, but really, it's not just about listing what you do. It's about designing a psychological journey, one that takes a visitor from just being kind of curious all the way to being totally convinced that you're the one they need to work with.
And that whole journey kicks off with step one, framing the problem. The biggest headache for most websites, the bounce rate. People land on the page and then poof, they're gone, almost instantly. The strategy here is to stop that bleeding, and we do it by leading with some serious empathy to really grab their attention. So how do you do that? You have to ask yourself this one critical question. What is my visitor really feeling the moment they land on my site? Chances are they're a little confused, maybe even frustrated. They're probably drowning in data they have no idea how to use. Your job is to meet them exactly where they are, right in the middle of that feeling. Okay, check this out. This is how you execute this perfectly. Imagine a headline that says, "Your GA4 data is a gold mine. Stop digging with a spoon." That is just brilliant. See, it's not talking about your services at all. It's voicing the visitor's own internal frustration so perfectly that they can't help but think, yes, that is exactly how I feel. This company gets it. And the results of leading with that kind of empathy? It's immediate and it's powerful. The visitor feels seen, they feel understood, and that makes them want to keep reading. Just that one change can slash your bounce rate and make sure that the right people, your best potential customers, actually stick around long enough to hear your message.
All right, so you've got their attention. They're hooked. Now it's time for step two, present the solution. At this point, they know you get their problem, and the next logical question in their head is, okay, so what can you do about it? This is where you start to build that crucial trust by offering up real, tangible value.
But, and this is a big but, you don't do it by just listing a bunch of features. No. You do it by promising outcomes. So instead of a boring feature list, you make clear promises. Things like, we'll bring you clarity from all that complex data. We'll give you actionable next steps. And we'll help you focus on what actually matters, growing your business. And that right there, that shifts the entire dynamic. You're not just a tool provider anymore. You're not just selling a service. You're positioning yourself as a strategic partner, someone who gets their goals and is ready to roll up their sleeves and help. That is the bedrock of a real, trusting relationship. Okay, trust is established. Now we move on to step three, foster conviction. This is the part where you prove your unique value. It's where you take the conversation completely away from how much does it cost and steer it towards why are you the only choice. You've got to show them why you're different and, frankly, why you're better. And when you look at it, the difference in strategy is just stark. Your typical competitors, they're all about features and price. It's a race to the bottom. But with this strategy, you're focused on business outcomes, things like actual ROI. While they're offering generic services, you're highlighting a unique, integrated strength, like combining GA4 insights with a powerful SEO strategy. That proves you can handle the whole shebang, from data all the way to getting new customers. And the payoff for this is huge. You completely break free from that ugly race to the bottom on price. Instead of being the cheapest, you get chosen for your unique expertise. And that means you start attracting much higher quality clients, the ones who are actually looking for a real partner, not just a cheap vendor. Okay, all of this has been building up to this one final critical moment. Step four, the call to action. You've done all the hard work. You've built anticipation, you've built trust. Now you have to make it ridiculously easy for them to take that next step. You need what we call a low friction prompt, something that inspires action with zero hesitation. And just think about the psychology here for a second. A generic contact us button, it feels so vague, so high commitment. It's like, what's going to happen if I click this? But a low friction CTA like book your free GA4 strategy call, that offers clear value with almost no commitment. It takes that little voice in their head saying, I'd like to hear a bit more, and turns it into an immediate, confident click. And the result? It completely changes the kinds of inquiries you get. You'll see a lot fewer of those vague, tire-kicking emails. And instead, you'll start getting what we call high-quality consultations. These are leads from people who have actually followed your entire strategic conversation, and they're coming to you with a real strong intent to work with you.
So, when you put all 4 of these steps together, what's the real payoff? What's the big picture? Well, you haven't just written some better website copy, not even close. You've built a strategic customer acquisition system, a powerful, reliable engine for growing your business. Think about it. Once the system is up and running, it's literally like having a top-tier salesperson out there communicating your value to the world 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. It never gets tired, it never takes a vacation, it never stops building relationships for your business.
So, really, the only question left is the one you have to ask yourself. And I want you to be honest. Take a good, hard look at your website right now. Is it just a passive brochure, sitting there hoping someone calls? Or is it working its tail off to be your absolute best salesperson? Because honestly, the answer to that question could change everything.